Hello, you're welcome to your program, info.com. My name is B. Fashoyin, and today we're taking a look at the processes, the machines, the whatever that had to do with the technology used in the last election. And so these two chairs will soon be occupied, this by me and this by my guests. And together we'll take a look at the issues. What are the challenges? What are the prospects for the future? This and many more will come on the program, info.com. Join us now after this time out. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the studios of info.com Lagos Television. My name is B, and in the intro we did talk about the fact that we wanted to take a look at the use of technology in the last election, and we believe that it should be able to guide us. Whatever flaws, challenges we face, can we improve on the technology? And that's why I have my very first guest in-house, my in-house analyst. His name is Kolade Kaude. Kolade, you're welcome.
Thank you, B.
Okay, now, prior to the elections, there was so much hula-baloo by some political party and some people who thought that the use of the card reader was an avenue to rig the elections. Some people thought that it could be, jammed. Some people first said that maybe some party had already hijacked, or how would I put it, that they had gotten through the database and all of this. In terms of security, how secured do you think the card reader was?
Okay, to start with, I think each concerned party have what I would say their own opinion to view, and they have their own fears to allay. But if you really look at it critically, you will see that the advent of the card reader in our electoral process is a wonderful concept, beautiful concept. It is a way to go. But it has its own ups and downs. It has its own pros and cons. Okay, so but overall of it is that it is a wonderful concept, and we must praise the electoral body for introducing it.
Okay, let's look at it. Could it have been circumvented? Could we have a hacker who could hack into, that was part of the argument then. You know that, could it have been, can it be jammed? Could we have somewhere where some smart Alec is able to, just go there and do whatever they want with the process?
The simple truth is, yes, it can be jammed. There is no 100% security anywhere. There is no 100% security. Some people will come up with something, and some will come up to beat the device.
No, Annex said because of the chip, that the distance between the chip and I think the sensor was so close that there was no way we could take any other frequency.
Okay, B, let me now explain to you. What INEC use is basically called an R-feed card.
Yes.
Okay, and the same way it works for the same INEC card and the card reader is the same way it will work for another person's card and card reader. The only difference between your door access control, which is an R-feed-based card access control system, and the INEC card reader is just an encryption code.
Yes.
Just makes the difference.
Okay.
INEC has its own, like a password, like a security code that makes their own card reader read only what they have on their card and not another card. It's the same thing to read. So jamming it is not rocket science. It's very possible. We all know at which frequency any R-free device works on. IT guys know. So the only thing they need to do is just to jam that frequency.
Okay, but
what you are saying is you need to be close enough. Yes, and the only reason why you need to be close enough is that most of these jammers they don't transmit on a very they transmit within a very low bandwidth space, as in that means you need to be very close enough to the device
Absolutely.
for it to work. So what's the big deal if I put a jammer in my pocket and I come in as a registered voter and I'm close enough to your device to jam it?
Well, they said the distance. The distance between the card.
No, that's not that. The distance between, that's the reading
Okay, so
distance.
it can be jammed.
Yes, that's the reading distance. Jamming is simply, I will come up with a device that will just keep sending information, just communicating on that frequency. So the machine and the device will just find it difficult, just as if there's an interference to communicate. That's jamming. It's not that they will just paralyze. That's jamming.
Okay, but okay. So do you think it happened?
Well, that I can't say. That I can't say. But I think there's a possibility. INEC should please look into that.
Okay. Now let's take a look at the issue, the part of the fears that INEC said if you steal these machines, you can't use it elsewhere because they've been encoded for a particular, maybe the polling booth.
Okay.
Can't it be rewritten? I mean, can't you have a reverse engineering? Can somebody not take it somewhere, rewrite the codes, and still get it to record what they want?
Well, they can rewrite. It's not as easy as you think, because for every level.
But is this impossible? Completely impossible? It
is not completely impossible, because you just need an access password to do some certain things on it. That is why even INEC official, there's hierarchy. There are those who have access password to configure it, and there are those who just have a password to just use it, user password. You get it? So it's not that it's not impossible, but that would be very difficult to do, because you can't just go and write your own software and come and put on their own machine. No. And if you write your software and put it on their machine, you can't just do that. You get it? So they've put in into a lot of work to develop a software that is mainly for INEC as they want, as they desire. You get it? And they loaded it on the device as manufactured, as in loaded it on it. So if you put your card, it's going to take you through INEC process, how they want it to go. Okay.
Now, let me ask you, part of the challenges, the president did try to use this, he tried to, validate his biometric whatever. And it didn't happen first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time. What could have been, because we're trying to eradicate part of these challenges for the future. Yeah.
Okay. I also watch the president, as in I watch the process at his polling unit. But what I notice is I don't think the president really challenge was fingerprint authentication.
Okay.
The machine was not reading his card at all. That's the first, the second, the third, and I think they bought about 4 machines.
Yes.
Was not reading his card. I don't think it was. I think it got to a point where they had fingerprint challenge. And that is what INEC also need to look at. For a layman will just say the machine is not working. What exactly is the challenge? Is it that it's not reading the card? If it's not reading the card, then it's very simple to say probably it was configured for another polling unit. Is it that it's not accepting the fingerprint authentication, which simply can say that probably the person fingerprint does not match, was oily, or those, look, so many things could have happened that you would have streamlined to say this is exactly what the problem is. But Nigerians will just term all the problem, they will term it to just say the machine is not working.
Okay. In terms of, I'll have just some few minutes more.
Okay.
Now, some of the, at first, in the first election, some of the INEC staff were not maybe trained enough to understand that you need to remove the film.
The film.
Whose fault was that?
That is INEC's fault. That is INEC's fault. I won't blame those who are using the machine, because it's just like you gave them a machine to use. You didn't instruct them to remove. If they remove and something else happened, they will say they removed it. But INEC should know, and they should have gotten their team, as in their expert team. They ought to have done that from the beginning, from the onset. The first thing they ought to have done, pull it off, then test all devices before going to the polling unit. Which was what they said they did.
Anyway, now let's take a look, a sneak preview into the future.
Okay.
What do you think the future holds for us? Can we come to the situation where people can vote? I mean, everybody has ATM, and we all use our ATMs. Anywhere, the same authentication, the same security features are in this, So, is it possible, and what do we need, finally?
Okay, finally, the ATM is different from INEC reader.
But the process?
But the process is similar, and the only difference between the two is just the online facility. You just need a bandwidth and bandwidth to just send your information and a central database where they can verify the information from. I believe we would get there. We've started from this stage. We would grow to that level.
So we need to just update the data now all over the country.
All the states, yes, each state, instead of each state standing on its own.
And have a wide bandwidth,
robust bandwidth. Yes, so that you share it across all polling units.
So it is well. Change has come to stay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so very much, Kyle.
You're welcome.
I hope to see you next week.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Good. Because next week we're going to have a bland presentation. All right, so that's KK for you. He will be joining us next week. Don't go anywhere because I have, for the first time on my set, the very beautiful lady. Of course, you know her. She's going to be here, and together with my friend, Fola Daniels, we'll be taking a look at social media and electioneering. Join us after this time out. Welcome back to the studios of Lagos Television. This is stillinfo.com, and for the segment we have our in-house analyst who has always been a little bit controversial in terms of analysis, but today she's joining us on set for the very first time. Onyechi Egoli.
Hello.
What's up?
Thank you for having me.
I love your smile and I love your gi. Wow, that's nice. And of course, Fola Daniels. Fola, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so gentlemen and lady, I want to take a look at social media, the use of social media. First, Onyechi, tell us, what do you have in mind?
Well, over the elections, I had to use social media to stay on top of the news. I don't have a TV, so I don't have the luxury of like tuning into Lagos Television to know what was going on. So I used Twitter and Facebook to stay up to date, and it was great.
Okay, it was great.
Yeah, I kept
online
up to date.
real time. You got the figures on them.
Yeah, but got
authenticated.
Everything was right, and then some. I got to follow people's opinions, people's views. People were making jokes, so it was great. It was just like 1,000 people talking about the same topic in the same room, and I could understand everything that was being said.
Okay, the social media was very active. You know, all over the world. I mean, everybody followed Nigeria. Hashtag anything that had to do with Nigeria decides. You have people tuning. Now, did you think that the aspirants used the social media to their advantage?
Great. I expected that we would consider it from both sides, the consumer and then the people who are supposed to be the input guys, now the contestants. For the contestants, I would say no. Most of them didn't maximize it, because I'll tell you one of the experiences I had. The typical Nigerian politician believes that most of those who would vote are the grassroots guys. And when a Nigerian politician says grassroots, he's telling you that they are not really the educated type, or they are not the highly educated type, and they probably don't use smartphones. And if they don't use smartphones, it means that they are not the type that probably will be, you know, paying for data, checking the internet, be on Facebook and all of that. But I think that was one of the places where they got it wrong, because this time around there were so many people who had apathy for elections in years past, and this time around everybody got involved. You needed to see the heated argument on social media. You would actually think that these people who were talking are the real politicians, whereas they were not the real politicians. They just supporters. Somebody supports this party, another person supports this party, and the debate was as though it was the contestants that were actually campaigning. That was how heated it got. So people have woken up. We had social media in 2011, but it wasn't this hot. But what I think is that the politicians themselves need to engage it the more. President Jonathan in 2011 used social media a lot. Unfortunately, it wasn't that active this time around. I think that the other party that used it around is the All Progressives Congress. What they did differently, I'll tell you quickly. They set up a situation room, And that was why so many people got the results even before INEC announced. So at your different polling units, as INEC was announcing at the grassroots and polling units, people were tweeting at the ward levels, people were tweeting the results straight to the polling units. So we could easily compile even before it was officially announced at the federal level. Now, the other thing I think that some people made, it was fun time for some people, especially bloggers. You needed to see the background of some blogs filled with campaigns. That's a lot of money. And I can imagine how much they got paid. We're talking millions here for a period of maybe about 6 weeks or even more. So bloggers had a field day, but the politicians themselves, not so many of them really maximized this. Take, for instance, I saw a stats when we were coming in. I think it was the 2007 elections. President Obama spent $47 million to campaign, digital campaign, and Mitt Romney spent $4.7 million. Now that's 10% of what President Obama, and we all saw the difference. So these days, don't think that people are not going online. A lot of people spend so much time on the internet. So we need to increase our spending, and it's cheaper compared to the conventional media. Take, for instance, if you were to do a full-page advert in Punch newspaper or any of the other newspapers, you probably be spending maybe like ₦1 million or more for a day. There's no way you can spend 1 million a day on social media and you would achieve more direct targeting. You can tell exactly who is getting the adverts and where they are.
Part of the problems a lot of people had to face, Onyechi, was the fact that some other people were mischievous. You know, we started getting figures that were not real. I mean, true. How do you think we're going to be able to get people to be serious? I mean, this was a serious thing. Why say that this is the figure when it's not correct? Why do you think people were tweeting what was not correct?
Just for entertainment purposes. I think people was wanting to be a nuisance, wanting the spotlight to be on them. A lot of people were wanting people to follow them, you know, just to gain more followers. But I did make sure that I followed all the actual official sites, those that were verified. And I actually was following a group on Facebook, Expats in Lagos. And they actually had a Google Doc, and they were updating it with all the states and all the results. And then on top of that, they then had a formula to show us how far ahead APC were leading. So although I was following Twitter, I was a lot more fast-paced than my Facebook. I still kept going back to that Google sheet to make sure that I hadn't missed anything and that I actually had the correct results.
Okay. Let me come back to you. Now, we did talk about the fact that the president used the social media to his advantage the last time.
Yes.
But this time, the opposition seemed to have...
use it more effectively.
Why did you think so? Did you think the advisors possibly told him it wasn't going to matter much in this election?
I think that that's a possibility if the advisors felt that the more important thing was to reach out to the guys on ground. And you know that they didn't also consider one thing. Whatever goes on social media can go viral. So now the online conversation is like a spark, but it doesn't end there. Usually the conversation starts on social media, but there's the offline conversation as well. So when you start a conversation online, you also have the benefit of the fact that it doesn't end there. For instance, I see certain things on social media, and I show it to my wife. I say, honey, look at this, see what's happening. And then she sees something, she brings it to me. So now we've forgotten social media, but we're still talking about what started on social media. So I think that it will be wrong counsel to think that social media is not effective or that you will not get your goal. You need to look at the benefit it offers you, the online conversation, which is just a start, and the offline conversation. Many of us, the things that we discussed during that period were actually initiated by social media conversations.
I will also add the reach. Social media gives you a much larger reach. One of the ads, like in Surulere, the APC ad, can only be seen by those that are actually physically there. Yeah. You know, while on the social media, there was just like non-Nigerians, Nigerians, yes. Those of us here, but there was people in London that was talking everywhere all over the world. Everyone all over the world that was getting involved in the conversation
and you can
and
target
knowing what was going on. Exactly.
You can target your
social
market.
media's reach
segments.
If you take for instance the advert, you can say, okay, I want to reach out. For instance, you know that not everybody can vote. You know that you have to be 18 to vote. So you can say, I want this advert to reach out to somebody who is between 18 to 60 you can target them, and you can say, I want this advert to reach out to people who live in Nigeria alone. So you can target that. You can also say, I want people who live in Lagos. So social media is so specific.
So at least you can just eliminate people like Onyechi, less than 18. Are you more than 18?
And then you.
I am 2 points. I am actually more than 18. But my second point is that it's not. I think it would be wrong to eradicate those that are just not at the age of voting.
Okay.
Because it's important to get the conversation started. It's not just the moment they hit the age of voting that voting and politics should then become important to them.
Okay, the point was not just about eliminating them. The idea is compared to new media or compared to conventional media, I'm looking at costs this time around.
I think
you want
what
to.
was trying to say is
I understand the part.
They can still get involved.
For example,
They can discuss with their parents.
17-year-old.
Yeah.
You could actually make an impression on him.
Exactly.
Now what I'm looking at. Sorry.
Stays until 4 years when he's
4 years
old.
more.
The guy who is spending the money doesn't think that way, which is why people are not spending enough money on social media yet.
I should have both
Now,
of you on set more.
sorry. Let me tell you this, because if I'm the one to spend
I
money,
have to go, gentleman and lady. I have to get both of them on set next time. I mean, I love this. This is like Battle of the Sexes. Well, that's how far we can go this week. Next week is going to be very, very interesting, I can assure you. The lectures have come and gone, and of course the lessons stay with us. Most of the things we've talked about are things that can help us in future elections. I want to thank you so very much for coming, Fola.
you're welcome.
And Onyechi, next
Thank
time
you.
you bring a sword and you bring a shield, to
breastplate.
defend yourself. Of course, I'm always here. By God's grace, same time next week, same time, same station. Good night and God bless you.